I'm here, I'm from Athens, and thank you to Stephen for the invitation. It's been a lovely few days. So I'm going to start with two poems from my latest chapbook called Limitless and Assembly of the Sick. Bodies and the stories of communities. An exercise in definition. We pretend to be plural, and in order to counter damage, we come together. The best of intentions, crushed by the mere facts of the everyday. The current runs faster, but we have become slower. Now, legions expand across the grammar and syntax of the gathering. Perivenular smudges and splashes scramble and rewrite purpose. A continuous reversion from plural to singular. We use hammer and sickle in an attempt to demolish boundaries. Exitus acta probat. Underneath the honeycomb vaulting of the Sala de los Amberejefes, we find no allegiance between body and world. The friction of the apparent disjunction between habit and substance, intent and sustenance. To look at oneself and find it hideous, what a job. Now, try on more words spoken by your brothers with the titanium necks. Is it in good shape? Will it do? Will it last? It is not difficult to see where response blends into purpose, or to map the silent migration of absence outside this gathering. How can you be a body that legislates for what does not coincide with your own body at this particular point in time? How complicit am I with you in this? Bodies and the introduction of metaphor. When doctors print out the diagrams of microclimates using iron-laced ink, they point out the impeccability of the newly broken body. By that point, you are already au courant as the kidney filters away all metaphors out of the body. You can sense this in the delayed polynomial of our knotted lives. You can still hear clearly the beat of the troops failing to fall into ranks. Those interchangeable parts of non-standard dimensions, a self-contained but ultimately dependent unit of passing contentment. Once there was love here, even when we were at the mercy of external causes, and now this. A difficult way of articulating the feathery, white ink scars of this body to the gathering, as I join in the revolutionary chanting just for the sheer privilege to be able to walk in formation alongside you. An untunneled man of uncertain affiliation, repeating and stuttering his way initially into your field of vision and gradually out of your consideration. What is one good for? There can be no such thing as the subconscious. There can only be implicit surfaces. What is one good for? A body ebbing and flowing towards the gathering as inconsistently as hope. What is one good for? Scored by dysfunction and pin-pricked by medical terminology, I am trying to assemble an octopus's nervous system using enamel tiles. What is one good for? I am only trying to keep up with a bit of this procession as I am reciting in a low voice these poems which were born in a February of magpies, or perhaps it was a November of starlings, or perhaps it was in another one of those precious dates that I know nothing about. What is one good for? I know nothing about the apperception and epochs of the body, but what I know is this. Our hands, now covered in lichens, have grown into one another, and our growls carry across maps of verdant astrocytes. What is one good for? It is these hands, resembling twigs, strewn with leaves and berries that make an attempt to drum their sticks on the ground. What is one good for? I am telling you rather badly, I think, a joke about anatomy. The gathering is always given shape by those left outside it. We are no longer Greeks, as the philosophers used to say. The next poem is called Spindle, a variation. It was originally written in Greek, and usually I sort of go back and forth between languages and produce variations of the same poem. So, if people are reading it in different languages, get different versions. The body, an archipelago. Οφθάλμης δε μέλες νύκτος άωρος. We think we are asleep, but behind our eyes, it is the hours that are lurking. The forked tongue draws a curve competing for a breath. The body of circle which transforms into a half moon before its immersion into water. We think we are asleep. We clutch in our hands the leaves and the lizards which gather on the bed, running up and down the spine we share with the boy, taking pictures incessantly in front of the CCTV cameras. You say, I have been up here for hours and I have yet to make the decision to die. The space between the fingers, now a fleshy cobweb, wings of a bat. The arteries are throbbing, the words locate grids. We think we are asleep, rocks eroded by the blood sticking to the soles of the feet. We do not know the names, the hands sink inside the maps, the holes on the face are covered by soil, the mouth opens and then shuts again. We proclaim we are unlike others, but when we dream, we are the same person, we are sharing the same skin. Perhaps we might even be able to do what it is we want to do, using someone else's body. Afterwards, we simply toss the carcass aside. We think we are asleep. We stick our nose on the screen, playing on a loop, a video from the CCTV. It is the same face, blue, dark blue, nearly black. So, sea pictures. It's part of a longer sequence called the Treachery of Images. Not playing the cello is a choice. Not being able to play the cello is the result of unspoken civil war. Letters and words turned into long galleries, vats of acid, are now stored underneath the living room table. Parachute material identical to the carbon makeup of the slowly dying population is being packed and shipped to storage. Certain surfaces are erased as a sacrifice to the gods of oxbow lakes. Underwater palaces swell up. Classes of the population are streaming towards what exists beyond the beginning of this particular thing. A series of occlusions now made apparent. Make no mistake, no poetic liberties have been taken. This is a very coherent flow. This is physics. The movement itself is one that scatters and casts off. Fuck off if you cannot fathom this. Not playing the cello is a choice. Coming up for air in the malls, in the Western lands, is the result of unspoken civil war. The funniest joke in physics is the equation proving that the time it takes to travel between two molecules of gas in a sealed chamber might exceed the projected age of the universe. And the final poem is called Perfusion. 1. Yes, perhaps in utero, but it was in another machine I became this, the result of 1,000 mechanized eyes. 2. Laura Mars furiously clicking their way into endurance, a riot scene like magnets colliding, the result of high population densities expanding and then imploding across minute distances. 3. The perfect grip of a hand that is no longer of any use now landscapes the present. Thank you.